Welcome to the 8th episode of the Perfectly Imperfect Spiritual Podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to speak with the angel medium, Julie Jancius. Julie is a host of the spiritual podcast, Angels and Awakening. She's also the author of the book called Angels and Awakening, A Guide to Raise Your Vibration and Hear Your Angels. Julie is an angel healer and a medium, and without doubt, an angel expert. Welcome, Julie.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Marta. This is so wonderful to be here with you and to just get to spend this sacred, special time.
Thank you. I was so happy when you said yes to come to my podcast because angels are very close to my heart. I work with them on daily basis and I just love, I love your energy and I love the way you share angels' wisdom with the world.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
So for those who might not know you, would you be able to introduce yourself and perhaps say anything about how has your journey with the spirit world begun and maybe how it has transformed throughout the years?
Yeah. Well, man, it is transformed like crazy. So when I was younger, most mediums, when you talk to them, you'll find out that they've had these gifts all along their entire lives. They just didn't realize what it was when they were growing up because you're this little kid and you just think that everybody sees life the way that you do. So I was always really spiritual, but when my dad passed away, we weren't speaking at the time, and he ended up coming through to me when I was brushing my kiddo's hair. I kept hearing this voice repeat in my head, and it just sounded like my own internal dialogue. And it said, "She needs a hairbrush like I used. She needs a hairbrush like I used. She needs a hairbrush like I used." And it was really confusing because I was using this big old paddle brush, and
Mhm.
it's the only brush I can ever remember using. It's not like today where we have all these wet brushes and different things. So I'm like, what is this voice trying to say? And
Mhm.
I was in corporate America at the time. I had built my way up to the career that I had wanted. An entire month later, my sister calls while I'm at work and she goes, "Juge, dad's passed." And out of my third eye, I see this vision of my dad combing my hair before school. And he was using his hairbrush, which I had totally forgotten about, this wooden handlebar with these boar's bristles at the top. And I'm like, oh my God, that's been my dad all month long. So I started studying with different teachers and going through different programs to figure out how I was hearing from him.
Mhm.
And I've been doing this work since 2015, and just it's evolved over the years because I put out a podcast, like let's see, in like 2019, and then
Mhm.
the pandemic struck, and it just grew like wildfire, where we get millions and millions of downloads every year. Um, and it has really, really changed my life. And I just feel so blessed that I get to do this work of bringing through people's angels, guides, and loved ones, because that's my gift. When I tune into your
Mhm.
energy, your angels, your guides, your loved ones, I would say not as much guides, angels, and loved ones are
Mhm.
really there bringing through different information. And it's so fun. And it's just such a blessing to be able to connect with others and do this work.
Okay, well, thank you. Would you mind if I share a quick message from some of your loved ones? They've been around just before we started recording.
Yeah, I love that. Thank
Yes.
you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And I thank them. So I've been definitely aware of your father, of the father figure who's been wanting to speak with you first. Like he's like, I'm not going to miss that opportunity. And he's been making reference to the resemblance between you and your daughter. And I don't think it's only the physical, but he's very funny and he's making reference to, is it that both of you might be sometimes stubborn or you do have the strong personalities, and he's teasing you a little bit that just after you, so whenever you just struggle, you're a great mom, but that you know where it's coming from. uh,
Yes. Yeah, 100%. So my daughter and I don't look alike, and sometimes that's hard, like when you're a mama and you don't look exactly like. I'm starting to see more of myself in her now, but my husband's Lithuanian and he's just got these dominant features that she has. But my goodness, is she my personality to a T? Yes, stubborn and strong-willed, and nothing's gonna stop her. Like, she's gonna go do what she wants to do, which actually was really his personality too.
Okay, so he's enjoying that aspect with of both of you. Uh, I also want to acknowledge, I'm not sure whether you would be able to remember, but he's showing me your daughter learning how to do, I think, roller skates. There's an importance, and like he's acknowledging that he hasn't missed that important learning curves. I'm not sure whether she's been physically like learning that particular, but that's the image that's been
Oh,
popping
that's
into my
so
mind.
interesting. So that's really, really relevant to right now. She loves acting and she loves theater. And so she just tried out last week for a musical where they have to be on roller skates, but she can't roller skate. So she was so worried that she wasn't going to get a part in the play. But I think what he's trying to let us know is that he helped her get that role because she got one of the very few parts where they don't have to be on skates.
Oh, okay. This is so good. And he's also making, well, he's so proud of your daughter. He's also mentioning, does she speak other languages? Is she learning? There's an emphasis of how clever she is. And yeah, he's bringing
Oh,
that.
that's so funny. Yeah, we were just having that conversation yesterday of she said that she wants to do a foreign language next year. She doesn't want to
Okay.
wait for high school. Yeah.
So he's absolutely supporting that.
Yay. I love that.
Yes, and I'll just pass one more message because you're, well, it feels like paternal grandmother. She's been coming through. There's a very strong grandmother on the father's side who's very much supporting you and your
Oh,
daughter.
yes. Yes.
And what I've been feeling when she's been coming closer is that there would have been some kind of problems with her breathing or the throat got restricted because I almost felt intubated. It almost felt as if something was stuck in my throat area
Yeah.
towards the end of her life. And the message she's been coming forward, and I know you've heard it many times, is that when there was a period when she was unconscious, like she heard all of the messages.
Yeah.
So she heard it all.
So I don't know if she was intubated at the end of her life. She had a heart attack when she found out that my dad passed.
Okay.
But my daughter was intubated for a time. She was very, very sick when she was young. And my daughter had such bad breathing problems when she was an infant that we almost lost her twice.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
So, okay. So she's been definitely, looking after your daughter. So that's been the message coming through. And your grandmother's been also giving me a sign of a lock, the lock that you use in a, well, girl's diary, and the lock's been unlocking. And I'm wondering, like, for me, it also means that there are like some new secrets, new information revealed, but there's lots of positive projects and openings for both of you in terms of your career, but also your daughters and your whole family. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, the openings definitely. There's some things that have been happening and coming through. We're working on a TV show right now, concept, and that's all been kind of like flowing and gelling together. And there's some really, really big opportunities coming up for my kiddo too. She's really into that acting piece, and so we got her to talk to some folks that gave her some really good tips and I think she's on the right path. So absolutely.
Okay, and the last message that they wanted me to bring to your attention is, have you recently been on holiday or are you planning to go on holiday? They've been showing me water and sailboats, like the important. So I was to not, well, I have to leave that message with you. Apparently, it's very, very important.
It is. Yes. I've been really worried about this. So it was so wild. This kind of like popped into my lap. Somebody said, I just feel like you're supposed to go on this trip with us. It's for healers and spiritual coaches. And so it's basically like this entire paid for trip to Spain in Barcelona. So
Mhm.
right on the water, and we're all ending the trip. The trip is ending with a sailboat ride. And
Okay.
so, yeah, yep. And
Ah,
I've been
okay.
so worried about this because I do not like flying over the ocean. I'm good like flying domestically, but
Hmm.
I've been praying every single night, like, just tell me it's going to be okay. I don't want to leave my family too and my kiddo for a week. It's like the longest trip that I've been away. And so I've been having these heart palpitations, but the angels keep saying to go. And so I love that you got that message of the water and the sailboat.
Yes, so that's definitely a sign. And from angels, I've been very much aware of the Archangel Raphael. And I know that you work with him closely, but that's for me an indication that you're such a great healer, not only doing the hands-on healing, but through your work, through your words, you heal people. So
Mm.
he's with us here right now. So I just want to thank you and thank all of your loved ones and angels that uh, yeah, came through.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
yeah,
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for those messages.
you're very welcome. That was very, very unplanned, but yes, yeah, this is why it is a perfectly imperfect podcast. You've mentioned about your corporate background, and like what has just popped into my mind. Um, I attended a while ago a well-being day. And I remember at that moment I've started coming out as a psychic medium. I was more testing people's reaction than sometimes also when I didn't want people to continue speaking with me, I would just say I'm a psychic medium. I speak with those who crossed over with a hope they would leave me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but quickly I realized that people were just curious and they just started asking more questions. But I remember on that particular day, that woman, she started asking me about my marketing, about my positioning. And I remember I just asked her straight away because she asked me about my competition. And then I just replied, I have no competition. And then I realized, oh, that might have come across as being like not modest at all. But I would like your view about that because I did run my own translation interpreting agency for like years. But the way I work now, I'm all about cooperation, collaboration. Therefore, it was like very intuitive for me to say I have no competition because I don't really concentrate on that. I concentrate on being of service. So I just wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you asking me like
Yes, your view about the experience of working as a psychic medium. Maybe you could share as well, well, your story when you first started coming out as a psychic medium, and the other one, how you perceive your business or your work, because I know it's
oh,
also as of being of service. But yeah, I'm curious about that.
absolutely, absolutely. I see. So spirit always shows me this image, and I think that we have all of the clairs to different varying degrees, right? And one of the things that they always show me visually is if you imagine like here I am and I am just one single soul, and everybody listening can visualize this too. So you're just one single soul, but then visualize just the orbs of the souls of all of the people that you're here to help. How many people can we help? You know, the very first year that I started my business, it took off like wildfire. My sessions were selling out within 6 months. And I think I worked with 1,000 people that first year. So Spirit said, imagine those 1,000 people. Now, how many of them are healers that are supposed to go out and work with other people?
Mhm.
And I kept seeing it web further and further and further and further, that there's only so much that we can do as a soul. we're not here to stand alone. We're here to work together. And that looks different to different people that I've had on my podcast. But to me, there's this other story too. Have you ever heard this about the two wings? And one wing is a masculine energy within the world,
Okay,
and one wing is a feminine
feminine.
energy within the world. And they said that um, over the last couple of thousand, I don't know, eons, right?
Mhm,
We've only been flexing and using the male wing.
mhm,
Well, if you only use one side of, a bird's wing, it's going to go around in circles, right? It's not going to fly away. It's not going to go anywhere. And right now, where we are within the world, we're really flexing out and stretching out and beginning to flap this feminine wing. And when we really start to utilize this as a society, where we do have these collaborations and these partnerships, because we are just one person. And in order to reach more folks, we have to have that collaboration. That's when both wings are going to be flapping, and humanity as a collective consciousness is going to fly out of the circle that it's been in for thousands and thousands of years and really get to another energetic space here.
mhm. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. What I love as well, I love so many things about your work, but something that resonates with me a lot is that you teach your clients how to communicate with their own loved ones and angels. And another story popped into my head, and my guides and angels said, "Oh, you have to share that, and then you need to ask Julie about her opinion on that." I remember years ago when I heard in my um mind, "You're a medium," and then I thought, like, yes, yeah, I've heard everything, but like medium, yeah, you must be crazy. But I started following that psychic medium. She used to do live readings,
Yeah.
and she's a great medium, very accurate. But what I realized, that she has built a community of like followers, and in order to receive a free reading, people had to say, "Me, me, me." And then I had two realizations that came when I was watching those YouTube readings. One, I'm definitely not a follower, and I would rather like pay for one reading as opposed to just spend my time every day trying to get a free reading. But the
Yeah.
second realization was that my guidance came very clearly that in order for me to really strengthen and build the trust and develop the connection with the spirit world, I have to do it on my own. So when I do now mediumship readings,
Mhm.
my guides, angels, always leave my clients with tools, with exercises, things that they can do in order to be able to reconnect with their loved ones, to maybe develop connection with them, because I don't want my clients to be dependent on me. I do tell them openly that they can come once a year in special circumstances, every 6 months for the mediumship. So I
Yeah.
just wanted your view about helping people to really develop that own special connection with their loved ones.
Oh, I think that everybody can connect with their loved ones on the other side. And here's why. I believe that what the soul truly is the voice of your intuition. That's the voice of God, universe, source on the other side, consciousness of all that is. And it's vibrational frequency. Like your soul has a vibration, and I call it oneness, but it's God, universe, source's vibration, the vibration of your soul. And so when you understand how to really shift the energy within your body, right? Because so many people are just go, go, go nonstop, and they've been really ignoring their own hearts for a very long time. So the first phase is really to get them back to their own energy, to feel their own vibration again. And then from there, We all like, you can't tell me that somebody can't connect with the other side
Mhm,
because it's who we are fundamentally before we're here. So when what happens is we have these loved ones on the other side, and that could be pets as well. We have angels on the other side. I think oftentimes it's almost easier for people to make this connection with their loved ones that they knew here because our loved ones have a voice that we could hear, right? Like my dad had this personality and this voice. And so when he comes through from the other side, I can hear him.
mhm,
I get his presence, what his personality would be like coming through from the other side. Um, I like to tell people too, you can connect with your pets, you can connect with your
mhm.
angels, give them a voice, give them a personality. The more that you learn about the different personalities of the angels, the easier it is to connect with them. That's actually why I wrote my first book, Angels and Awakening, because it guides you through all of this and it also provides like an angel dictionary where you understand who's working with you and how to work with them back. But you could also give your pets on the other side a voice. You know, I've got 2 little teeny tiny doggies, and they both have these complete different
Mhm.
personalities, and I imagine if they were talking, they'd have these completely different voices. And so that can help people too as they're trying to bring through their loved ones from the other side.
Okay, thank you. And what advice would you give to those who are trying to make that connection with the angels? I frequently receive questions from, especially from the clients whom I'm helping to develop their abilities. They struggle to really tell the difference between them connecting with the angels or loved ones and guides. And I know there, for me, it's that knowing, or I see an angel with the wings or without, so I just see it. But like, and energetically, somehow angels feel just differently. It's just like a different vibration. But I know you've got so much experience and you would be able to maybe give one or two tips to those who really don't know how to start and how to know that they're speaking
Oh,
with an
for
angel.
sure. Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things too is differentiating. The first step is we all have an intuition. Like, how do you hear that intuition? And then once you can hear that intuition, how do you know who's coming through that angel guide or loved one? Pet on the other side. And that's why I have the angel Reiki school too. This is what I teach folks in there. When angels come through, they're the highest vibrational frequency that is. I don't believe that our angels have had past lives as human beings. They're really just extensions of God's energy that stack the card deck in our favor to help us here in this lifetime. So when you tune into their energy, it's always going to feel very, very high vibrational. Um, Spirit saying to tell your listeners that anybody who's gone to church when they were younger and
Mhm.
felt like that just complete high vibe in church, you don't have to be in church to get that. You can feel that anywhere. That's just the presence of your angels. Um, have you ever gone outside, Marta, like on a morning where it's really dewy and you can really like smell the earth, the soil?
Yes.
I get that smell a lot when I'm connecting with my clients and it's a loved one on the other side, or if I'm trying to distinguish. I distinguish because the angel is very, very high vibrational,
Hmm.
whereas the loved one has this grounded, rooted feeling within my physical body, but also I get a sense of smell as well.
Hmm. Okay, that will be very helpful to all of the viewers and listeners. Uh, I know you love all of the angels, to no surprise, but would you be able to share maybe or name a couple of them who maybe had the most impact on your life or who are the closest to your heart? Are there any particular archangels or any angels that you could name, or maybe
Yeah.
not?
I think that, well, first, all of them. I'm just so grateful for all of them. But I love working my guardian angel. I mean, oh my gosh, talk about a being who is just meant for you to
Hmm.
know you better than you know yourself. And the more and more that you work with your guardian angel, the more you'll find. that they're steering you just constantly. And I love working with my guardian angel for that reason, because I can feel the clear direction just like every second of every day. Um Archangel Michael is wonderful. He's like the first angel that really came through for me. But then Seraphina and the Seraphim angels came in right after that. And I love working with all of them. I would say that what people don't realize is that Seraphina is kind of Archangel Michael's counterpart right now. When I think about the two angels that kind of represent the yin and the yang of this world, the masculine and the feminine, it's really Michael and Seraphina, who I would say are working with like 99.9% of all humanity right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And if you could share your wisdom and the wisdom that you've received from your angels, like what would be the advice you could give? Like, how can people bring more peace, love, and joy into their lives?
Yeah, what we're taught actually it over here in the States, I don't know about in Europe, but we're really taught to want specific things as we're growing up in elementary and middle school, high school. You need to want to go to college, you need to want to get a job, you need to want to work hard, you need to want to like have all of these physical things, the big house and the cars, and
Hmm.
it's just a bunch of nonsense,
Hmm.
right? Like some people are have this beautiful voice that's meant to be shared within this world, and we have these different wants. Some people just want to travel around the world taking photographs and selling those photographs to live. I would say that the place that the angels are constantly taking us back to is, what do you want? What do you truly want? Not because somebody else is telling you to, not because it's something that you saw somewhere else. What do you really want just for you?
Hmm.
Because it inspires you. And not in a selfish way where like not in a way where we were trying to put anybody down, nothing like that. Just like if you were thinking about your own life, what do you really want? I want a daughter. I want a husband. I want to spend time with them. I want a job where I have the freedom to be my own boss and help as many people as I can. These are real desires from our hearts. And what so many people do is they poo poo them and they stop themselves from daydreaming. Oh, I can't have that, or I'm too old for that, or
Hmm.
my time has passed.
Hmm.
And when we stop ourselves from dreaming, we're stopping our angels from really working in our lives. And and that's the worst thing that we could do. We have to keep ourselves open energetically and with our thoughts to anything is possible.
Hmm. Beautiful. And I'm aware as human beings, we have a free will. So frequently angels are just waiting and they really want to help us and really guide us. But we have to say, yes, yeah, I'm ready to listen and to receive your guidance and messages. Could you tell a little bit about how people can start receiving communication from their angels? Like what maybe I know like some people receive symbols, maybe signs, but there might be other things that people can pay attention to when
Yeah.
trying to receive support and guidance from their angels.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you just think about your entire day, I want you to think about communicating with your angels throughout the day instead of just at one time. So when it comes to you, you know what? I wonder what my angels think about this. I got this opportunity to take this business trip. Should I go?
Hmm.
Connect with your angels. Ask what they think of that. They're only going to give you what God, universe, source wants you to know. And so just talking to them more, keeping an eye on your own vibration, like we talked about before. If you keep your frequency high, you're tuning in to the frequency that they're at as well. So they're going to be able to come through more clearly. Um, I think that in order to really get to know the angels, you have to know who they are, as a being themselves that has personality and different skills that that wants to be used in that way. One of the things that the angels are saying to say right now is that I believe that everybody has multiple or could have 1 to 3 plus guardian angels. And so one of the ways that you could work with them right now is just to say, God, universe, source, how many guardian angels are with me? And I just want you to tune into the number of guardian
Mm,
angels that are with you. And then also, I believe here's an interesting fact. Your angels, all of them, have a different language through which they communicate. I feel it's a vibrational language, a little
mhm,
like where you hear those sounds of dolphins within the water. So they don't speak in the same language that we have here. A lot of people put too much concentration on, well, what's the precise name of my angel? Just ask and allow the names to come through. So if you ask them, how many guardian angels do I have? And you hear 1, 2, or 3, right? Then ask them, what's the name of
mm,
my first guardian angel? Allow that name to come through to you and just use it. Sometimes the name won't come through right then, but you'll say, bring it to me this week, the name of my
mm,
first angel, guardian angel. And you'll be out, and maybe the server at the restaurant that you're at has this name, and you're like, oh my gosh,
mhm,
that's it. That's the name. Or you're reading a book and you hear this name, and that is the name. It's just a feeling within yourself where it strikes you and you go, that's it.
mhm,
Trust that. And so name your guardian angels and call on them. Call on them to help you, serve you, bring through the answers that you need. And that's the best way to really start communicating with them.
mhm. Beautiful. And you've just mentioned the word trust. And I think it's so important for us to be able to develop the trust. And also, well, would you be able to maybe mention some ways how people can try and move their ego aside while trying to develop that connection with the angelic realm?
The angels are saying to kind of bring through just this analogy. I always tell my clients that they're either crawling with their angels, walking with their angels, or running with their angels. And so when you're crawling with your angels, what that can look like is you have this opportunity in front of you or something that calls to your heart. Maybe you feel like you're supposed to go through a mediumship program or an energy healing program. And you debate it within your head for months, sometimes even years. Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Should
Mm,
I do it? Shouldn't I do it? And what happens is, as soon as you take action on something the angels are calling you to take action on, boom, the next piece of information is there. And so when people are crawling with their angels, they're maybe following the advice of their angels twice a year, once every 6 months. And it doesn't help you get where you're going as fast. Other people maybe follow their angel's advice once a month. And again, 12 times a year, you're following what's really calling to your heart, what your angels are saying. That's starting to walk with your angels, but maybe not getting you as quickly to where you
mhm,
could be, right? When you start running with your angels, and listening every second of every day. You're getting ready to come on this podcast and they're like, "Oh, make sure that you bring in this message for Marta." You're going and you're like leaving your house and you could go left or you could go right and you hear your angel say go right, so you do. You're listening. Some people listen to their angels 100 times a day. What's 100 times 365 days a year? That's how often. Sometimes people listen to their angels 1,000 times a day.
mhm,
So some people are listening to their angels a million times a year, millions of times a year, versus other people who are only listening twice a year. And then people come to you, in this line of work and they're like, why aren't my angels working with me? Why aren't they leading me? Why aren't they
mhm.
guiding me? They are. you're not listening. You're not, and to listen means you have to follow. You have to take action. And your angels are going to only bring through loving, positive information. But what people are really saying when they're like, why aren't my angels listening to me? The angels show me this mathematical equation. And they're like, really, you have to show the client that some people are running with their angels and they're listening millions of times a year. They're taking action. And some people are only listening once, twice, sometimes not at all. So it's not a matter of whether or not they're communicating with us. They are
Mhm.
always communicating with us. It's a matter of what we do with those messages, whether we listen or whether or not we take action.
This is so important. I so much agree that taking even small steps, taking action is so important. And so many of my clients, when they come to me and they say, yes, I'm manifesting, I'm just sitting and allowing, and then like nothing really happens. So
Yes.
they forget about that very crucial component that we have to follow. Well, we have to listen to the angels, but then we have to make our decisions and then take action.
Well, it's one of the secret laws of the universe. I mean, we were like, I was around in 2005 when the movie The Secret came out, and everybody just thought that they could write a check for themselves for $1 million and then sit on the couch and not do anything, and that $1 million was going to come to them. But what the movie didn't talk about is that one of the secret languages, secret laws of the universe is physically taking action. So write the check for $1 million to yourself, on that fake
Hmm.
check thing that people print out
Hmm.
and post it somewhere and visualize it and see it. But then also take action and take steps towards how you're going to manifest and bring in that $1 million.
Okay. And I would also like to ask you, well, you've mentioned the importance of raising your own vibration, and I think that allows us to be able to hear the guidance of our loved ones, angels, and yeah, much better. So what are the simple uh, tips you could give to the viewers and listeners how to raise our vibration?
Yeah, it comes through silence and stillness, right? We're so busy throughout every day, or we have music playing, or we have stuff like kind of in the background. We need that time to be silent and be still. That's why so many people get messages when they're in the shower, when they're taking a bath, when they're in the car, because it's legitimately the only time all day long that your angels have where you're silent and still to come through. So if you turn off, everything around you for 5 minutes during lunch, you're going to hear more from them. It really is that silence and stillness that you need in order to hear them because they speak through your heart, through whispers, and it is more subtle, more soft, and it requires you to really tune up the volume of your hearing.
Mhm. Thank you. And what's the final guidance you could give to the listeners and viewers? Anything that's important for us as a well collective? What should we now concentrate? Like, could you share
Yeah.
anything that's well keeps
What's
coming?
Yeah,
Through?
what keeps coming through from the angels is to share with everybody that your soul is infinite. I believe that every soul is its own infinity. And that when we think of all that is, it's infinite infinities of souls. And that's what we're doing here on earth together. And so your soul as an infinite being, you have all of these talents, skills, gifts, abilities, and you really want to share them with the world. And so I would say that the biggest thing coming through right now is just to follow that. Like follow what's in your heart. What are you talented at? What are you skilled at? What are you curious about that you want to know more about? Follow that. Allow that to lead you. And don't be afraid to share your gifts, skills, talents with the world. I think I'm not sure about Scotland, which I think is where you're at right now.
Yes.
But mediumship and healing looks very, very different in the US versus England in particular, where they're very, very rigid about what mediumship needs to look like. And no offense to anybody, but I think that's just a bunch of baloney. There's
I completely agree.
there's so many different gifts and like the ways that your gifts come through. And Marta, I would say that you're more of like an evidentiary medium, right? Like you have this gift of really tuning in to more of that evidence based, which is absolutely fantastic. The way that my gifts are just completely different. So as we've been sitting here and I've been in your energy field, Spirit has said about 5 times, this is not the only time that you're going to meet Marta. You're going to see her in person actually one day. And they said that you need to not be scared of taking your message to the next level. I see you writing books. I see you being published. I see you speaking on large stages. I see you really as a messenger. If you read my book Angels and Awakening, I talk about Seraphina and the Seraphim, where you can feel these angel wings in the back of some folks, and you have that, meaning that you didn't ask as a soul to come through to this lifetime. You were really tapped by the angels and asked to come through because your soul had certain things that it needed to share. So for you, it's not possible for you not to do the work that you're doing right now because it's why you were born. It's why you're here. And you feel this calling so deep within yourself because it is so much your purpose, right? So at the same time that I'm feeling that, I do feel this like itty bitty little fear guy where they're trying to help you remove that fear.
Yeah.
Because they said the fear isn't about doing something wrong, it's really about how powerful you are. And you've had a lot of different past lives, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do this. People just don't realize how much work it is. Um, to have the TV show, we need to get partners to back it for millions of dollars. To put out a book and self-publish a book easily in the United States costs $25,000. And that's not even with promotion and
Mhm.
marketing and PR. Putting out a book and self-publishing it can easily be $100,000. Running a podcast like this can easily cost $20,000, $25,000 a year. It's crazy. And so people just don't realize how much work goes into it 24/7. And you are kind of moving into this place of stepping into your power and accepting that this is where you're going no matter what. And just embracing it. And the more that you can embrace it, you don't have to be anyone or anything at any particular time. You don't have to write books that you don't want to write. Just write about whatever's coming to you. Whatever's with you are the messages that need to come through. And like I said earlier, um, none of us can do this alone. Like together, we are a collective group of healers here that are here to reach as many folks as possible. And so I'm just so appreciative of what you're doing for everyone, and I'm so excited to watch you grow.
Thank you so much. And my final note, well, it will not be a surprise that most of my mentors so far, they have been in the United States.
Yeah.
I've tried evidential mediumship, but I left it because I'm a rebellious soul and I didn't want to be labeled. And I'm like, no, because when you are trained in evidential mediumship, you're not allowed to channel angels, guides. And I'm like, how can I ignore those beings? So like I left that very
Wow.
quickly
Yeah.
because I truly believe that we should will read and connect with the spirit world the way it feels right for us, the way
Yeah.
it comes naturally. So thank you so much. And finally, would you be able to mention about your offerings and where people can find you?
Yes, and I didn't even know that about evidentiary mediumship. I thought it was just your ability to bring through names and dates and more specific things like you were bringing through the roller skates and the beach and this trip coming up,
Mhm.
which you couldn't have even known about in the foreign language. So no, you're totally spot on with that, and I agree with you 100%. My website is theangelmedium.com, and if you go to theangelmedium.com/free, I have an entire Angel Fest that everybody here can access for free. It's 3 days of just videos and different content healings where they can meet their angels and connect with them. And then I have my book and podcast, both same name, Angels and Awakening. And I'm on Instagram at Angel Podcast.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to add all of the links so people will be able to click and then find you with ease. So I just want to say
Thank you.
thank you for coming to the podcast. It's been an honor speaking with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the work that you're doing for this world. It's so needed.
And thank you for your work. And I want to say thank you to all of the viewers and listeners. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye. Bye.